Thank you guys for joining me in this video on my journey on building a game engine in C++ using the SDL library. Now in the previous video I talked about my texture manager class, and the video before the previous one I talked about my game engine base class. So if you guys are interested to know how I build my texture manager class so I could draw things on the screen as you can see here, then you can go to the video before this. The playlist link is going to be provided in the description below. And if you also want to know how I build my base game engine, so I mean the guy who is controlling everything, who is handling everything, you can also go on that playlist and see the second video where I explain how I did this. Now I also want to mention that I'm going to be uploading some videos on this project where I'm going to explain you how to build this by your own. So we're going to be writing the code together, but for now I just want to show you the stage where I am right now, because I'm still working on it, and because I don't want to end up with something that I didn't finish. I want to make sure I finish the project before starting it with you, so that you could write the same code as me. That's why for now I'm just showing you so you could critics, so you could maybe know what I'm working on right now, or maybe get inspired by what I'm doing right now. So if you're watching this video for the first time on my channel, this is the game engine I'm working on, like what you're seeing on the screen right now. And in this video I'm going to be talking about my object class and the inheritance system I built on top of that. Now I just want to mention that the object class wasn't that complicated to build, because there wasn't a lot that I had to do for creating object and stuff. So as you can see here, I have my header files right here. I'm going to be opening them one by one afterwards. So I have 4 important stuff for my classes, right? For my class object. Now the class object is just an interface, which means it's a blueprint of all object that we'll have in our game. All object will basically have a draw method, update method, and a clean method. So something more could come later, but for now all objects need to have these 3 components. That's important. So this was an interface. So if you guys don't know what interface is, write me in the comment section below. Maybe I'll take time to do a beginner course about C++ and stuff. But an interface is just like a blueprint. It's a class which cannot be instantiated, and secondly, it's used to define like method or properties that all inherited children will need to have. So whenever I put a function here, like you can see, I'm actually obligated all children that inherit from this class to implement those functions. So like here, for example, in the object2d, the object2d inherit from object, and I still have to define it. But here still I didn't want to, this is an abstract class, because this can be instantiated, but it still needs all children, all classes inheriting from this class will still need to implement those functions. So the first one was an interface. This one is an abstract class. So I could create an object from it, or maybe I'm wrong, abstract on, I'm not sure, but whatever. This class right here, it's used because I want to be able to create a polymorphism system. So I want all my object to be able to be defined just by using object2d. Whatever is the player, whatever is the enemy, whatever, I don't know. I just want to define them using this object2d, so I could implement a polymorphism system without having to handle each class with a specific name of that class. So that's why I wanted to define this inheritance system. Now this object2d also take an important property, which is the object2d props. So a 2-dimensional object has some important characteristic, like for example the position where it has to be rendered, the orientation, is it going to be flipped vertically or horizontally, the size, width and height, and the texture. So I use the texture ID here to reference. If you watch the video before where I've been talking about my texture manager, the texture manager he actually stores all my texture in a map with IDs. So if I want to reference to a texture, then I'll simply pass an ID, and then I could read that ID from the map and use it for any kind of purpose I want. So this class was simply to define the property that all object would have. So I could have the velocity, the acceleration, whatever, but I choose to leave it like that for now. Now on top of those object 2D, we also have now the object 2D rigid. Rigid is for those objects affected by the gravity, like the player, for example, or enemies. They can move actually, like they have the velocity and the acceleration. You can see here I still need to implement draw and update and clean. I still have to do that because that was a blueprint, because object 2D inherit from object, which in returns object 2D inherit from object rigid inherit from object 2D, which in return inherit from object, which is an interface. Then we still need to implement those functions. That's important. And the rigid object now is now for all those objects, as I said, which are able to move, which have those objects that have, you know, speed and velocity, like the player, for example. That's why if I show you my player class, you see this is not the header file. The player class, you see, inherit from rigid. That's because the player can move. He is affected by the gravity, which I haven't implemented right now, because if you can see here, he's not falling. I'm working on that. So just wanted to throw that out in case you guys know. So that's basically what this class does. But I haven't implemented any code, any C++ code for this object. I just created it, but I didn't write anything inside. But I could have write something here so that all objects that are from this class will have that that method called in the like let me show you. For example, like here, for example, by the update function, by the draw function of the update function of the player, I call my rigid, I call the supple update function. But now there is nothing inside, but just to let you know, if it happened that you have a property or a special thing that all rigid object could have, then I can simply write it here, and all classes inheriting from this guy will simply have that effect on them. So guys, that was the basic idea on my inheritance system for my object. And as I said, that was for a better polymorphism purpose. So if you guys think I haven't done it correctly, or maybe I messed up somewhere, just let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you for watching videos on Mexico channel. Think about to subscribe, like, and share. So I also want to mention that my channel now has a Patreon account, so you guys can support me on Patreon. This is not me begging for money. I'm just telling you I want to invest more time in this, and if you guys support me, then I will keep doing this. So guys, have a nice day or a nice night or whatever.
Prouve le contraire si l'on dit de toi que t'es nul.